Sab Erekat, the fact remains you can't get on with this administration. You're not going to work it. You said they're not honest brokers. You've said that. You've accused them of not being honest brokers. Over the years, you've worked with many US administrations who were much better disposed towards you, and you couldn't do a deal with them either. So you keep on waiting for someone better to come into the White House?
Well, you can say this.
Look at the latest polling in September. Palestinian polling, 62% want your president to resign. 67% are dissatisfied with the performance of the Palestinian Authority. 3/4 view conditions today as worse than before the Oslo Agreement.
They are.
So what have you achieved for your people? What have you achieved? When are you having elections?
When we
you
have,
keep saying.
No, if we have elections without Gaza, what will you say to them? We're separating. You think we can have a state without Gaza?
So why do you keep calling for elections? You promised elections this year.
I need elections to unify my people.
You personally promised elections this year.
That's what I did. I'm doing it now.
And you say you can't have elections until you're unified. Whatever strategy you thought you were employing to make things better for your people, it's not working, is it? And in Gaza, you've actually been helping to cause hardship. You asked Israel to cut electricity to Gaza.
That's not true.
Because of a row with Hamas over payments.
That's not true.
You didn't ask them?
That's not true.
You did.
Look, I have. No, I have an overloaded wagon of complexities. All right?
You're squeezing of Gaza. Okay, your action has put hospital operations at risk in Gaza, water pumps, the sewage system, huge health
My actions?
risk. You squeeze them.
Well, how can I squeeze them?
And when people protested in the streets in June about your action, you arrested dozens of them and your security forces beat them up in custody. And you tell me how democratic you are.
Well, look, if you want me to be perfect, I'm not perfect. If
this is very far from being perfect, isn't it?
Look,
this is government policy. You beat them up consistently.
You mentioned one demonstration. It's true. Some people were beaten up.
And you say nobody's perfect. And you say nobody's perfect.
No.
That's not excuses. What about the corruption? The massive corruption in the Palestinian Authority? Well, the latest polling in September shows that more than 80% believe that there is widespread corruption in the Palestinian Authority. They cite nepotism, bribery, abuse of public funds, and lack of transparency.
Do we have corruption? Yes.
Let's get on to the real problem.
Let's get to the real problem, exactly.
Which is the human rights abuses. Human Rights Watch, which you've dealt with for many years, has just produced its latest report, compiled over 2 years, which features credible reports of shocking human rights abuses by your security services. Your abuses
How many cases the human rights specified?
They base their investigation on 147 interviews, as you know well.
In 2 years, yeah.
As you know well.
Yes.
Shocking abuse.
Yes.
They say that there are violations of international humanitarian law and contravene the legal obligations that you took when you signed up to human rights treaties over the last 5 years. Torture, extensively documented, may amount to a crime against humanity. And you're telling me you're a democratic state.
We are.
And you allow torture on a daily basis.
No, we are. We are a democratic state.
You allow torture on a daily basis.
Look. The Human Rights Watch is a respected organization.
You live in Jericho. In the West Bank, some of the harshest treatment reported by detainees takes place in Jericho at the Joint Security Committee Detention Center. Officers force prisoners into painful stress positions, long stints in solitary confinement. A young man from the Balata refugee camp said he was twice subjected to electric shocks and once had a cord tied around his genitals. So much for signing the Convention Against Torture.
We are members of the Convention Against Torture.
And you abuse it, and you violate it on a regular basis.
As I told you, the 147 cases for 2 years, 24 months are being investigated.
You're also cracking down on freedom of speech as well.
How?
January last year, your security forces detained Faris Jabbour, a student from Hebron, about his participation in a book event organized by the Islamic group at his university. He'd already been arrested 5 times on charges that turned out to be false. You go after these people again and again and again. He was taken on one occasion to the Jericho Detention Center where officers alternated between kicking and hitting him with a stick. You're smiling.
I'm
this
smiling
is nothing
because
to smile about.
No, because I live in Jericho. And Naomi,
And
my
this
wife,
is happening under your nose, so
Madam.
you know it's going on.
Of course,
And you
the
tell
Prime
me how
Minister.
democratic you are.
We
At
are.
the same time as you
That's
know
why,
this
that's
is
why,
going
that's why
on.
when it happens, we stop it. We admit it.
Aren't you ashamed of all this that's been going on?
In some cases, I'm ashamed. Yes.
Is this what a future Palestinian state would look like?
The future Palestinian state would look like
Human rights abuses,
the discussion
corruption,
that's going on now.
crackdown on free speech,
No.
internet controls.
The future of the Palestinian state will be the future of democracy, human rights, women's rights, accountability, transparency, and the rule of law. This is my promise.
So very different from what you have now.
No.